Finally, I've completed the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. I can finally wash my hands of that series and review something else. Maybe I'll review a classic like Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, or maybe I'll review one of my favorite films like Up or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The possibilities are endless. No. No, it can't be. I reviewed them all. I reviewed them all!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah, surprise, surprise, Disney just can't seem to let such a money-making franchise go. So we gotta curb stomp this franchise into the ground and drain the lifeblood from the series like studio executive vampires. Thus, Pirates of the Caribbean at Stranger Tides was made. And I actually think it's the second best film in the series. I do. I like the film. I mean, for starters, we've finally gotten rid of Will and Elizabeth and can do what I feel the series should have done from the start. Tell episodic stories. Tell a tale of treasure hunting with Jack Sparrow as our lead. Tell a complete story with a beginning, middle, and end. We can finally go back to basics and just tell a smaller, less complicated story. And for the most part, it does just that. I mean, sure, the film is still not as simple as the first one was. It's got its complexities. They need a mermaid tear and 2 chalices, and they need to perform this ritual, and you got a new bad guy, a woman from Jack Sparrow's past, Barbossa is back, and blah, 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 blah. Would it have been so bad to just have Jack Sparrow hunting for the Fountain of Youth? Why do you need to get 2 chalices and a mermaid's tear to do it? These things don't feel like crucial parts to the story. They just feel more like obstacles to overcome. But on the other hand, that mermaid scene is pretty damn awesome. It's suspenseful and hits all the right emotional points perfectly. First wonder and curiosity, then serenity, then intensity, and finally fear and thrills. All while never losing this nagging feeling that something about these creatures isn't right. The music is a huge part of that, and Hans Zimmer deserves a lot of credit for these movies. Every time that theme song plays, it's great, and the music in this scene is just as good. He teamed up with composer Eric Whitacre to make the mermaid theme, and it's amazing. A slow, calm, soothing female-led choir that turns into this big, epic rock and roll style theme with the choir chanting along. Whoa, just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. I'm kind of surprised it took this long to include a creature that many people associate with pirate lore. Pirates and mermaids, or pop culture has always kind of associated the two, and it's great to finally see a film that tackles mermaids as deadly, instead of kind and benevolent creatures.
Deadly? No.
For the most part. In the old days, mermaids would often get their folklore mixed with sirens, beautiful creatures that would lure men to their death, drown them, and devour their dead corpses. So it's nice seeing a film that tackles that approach and plays with our expectations. I mean, this is Disney, the company whose animated renaissance was launched by a sweet and innocent mermaid. There's no way they'd paint mermaids as some kind of monster. Oh my god! Jesus! Ah! What the hell? Okay. So the film may still be a little too complicated, but at least it's all easy to follow and is entertaining to watch. The film may not be as tightly woven as the first film. There are brief moments where the film does stop to develop characters, like that dance scene between Jack and Angelica, but I kind of like the dance scene between Jack and Angelica. It's funny, and you do sense the chemistry between these two characters. You can tell they're both very sexually attracted to each other. Sure, it's stopping the plot, but I'm not just sitting around wishing the film would hurry up and get to the point like the other two films. I like watching these two characters flirt with each other. I'm okay with the plot stopping for a bit to show us more of these two, which is more than I can say for anything Will and Elizabeth did. This...
How is it we can never meet without you pointing something at me?
is a lot more fun to watch than this.
You look beautiful.
I think it's bad luck for the groom to see the bride before the wedding.
Unlike the other two films, the scenes where the plot slows down a bit doesn't really feel like padding, and again, it isn't boring, except for that Russian roulette scene and the whole debating to jump off a cliff scene. That goes on a bit too long. That scene sucks. While bringing Barbossa back from the dead was a waste of a great death, Geoffrey Rush continues to be a joy to watch. I honestly think he's now just as important to the franchise as Jack Sparrow and Johnny Depp are. I also like what they did with his character. He's put in a very similar situation he put Jack in the first film. His ship was taken and he wants revenge on the man who took it. This strangely enough gives him and Jack something to bond over. Although, unlike Jack, who was obsessed with the Black Pearl and was more interested in getting that back than actually getting revenge, Barbossa couldn't give a damn about the ship, he just wants to kill the man responsible. Once again, the chemistry between Rush and Depp remains the most entertaining part of this franchise. It's probably the only thing keeping it going, honestly. The film is fun, but it's very flawed. Like I said, it's a little bit too complicated in some spots, and the script isn't as airtight as the first. I'm also not a really big fan of Blackbeard. Ian McShane is a great actor, and he's giving it his all. He's fun to watch in some scenes and can be deliciously despicable in other scenes, but his character just isn't as good as Davy Jones or Barbossa. But hey, he's still miles better than Cutler Beckett, so he's got that going for him. It's always better to not be the worst than not be the best. Another thing is, while I like the romantic subplot between Jack and Angelica, I don't like the romantic subplot between the mermaid and the Bible thumper. This romantic subplot is just lame. So incredibly lame. I mean, granted, they focus on it about as much as Will and Elizabeth's romance in the first film, but this romance doesn't nearly have as strong a purpose. The first one was about rescuing Elizabeth. It's a big part of the story. This romance is just designed to get the mermaid to cry so they can follow up on the whole "we need a mermaid tear for our ritual" thing. Also, this is just a tiny nitpick, but the dinner table escape scene could have been a little bit more subtle. I liked it more when the audience didn't know if he plans out his ridiculous escapes or just makes it up as he goes along. This film and this scene make the implication that he plans it all out, and it's a bit harder to buy his escape when they imply that. How could he possibly know a guard would step on that napkin? I mean, are these the same dumbass background characters from the first film? Yeah, why not? Throw in the scream and the holler. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides is not a great film. It's barely a good film. But in my opinion, it's a much better step in the right direction than the previous sequels. It's a self-contained adventure, a wild ride with two of the best characters this franchise has to offer. The focus is where it should be, finding treasure and spending time with Jack Sparrow and his crew. No film can mimic the pure delight of the first film. But out of all the sequels, I firmly believe this one came the closest. Which is why I give this movie a 3 out of 5. It's completely watchable. That's it. I'm done. That was the last Pirates of the Caribbean film. Son of a bitch!